Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Black Waves. I am your DMGM storyteller, whichever you'd like to call me, Forgotten Dreams, and I am joined by a lovely cast of people, starting with Wade.
I'm Wade. I'm running Desh the Kobold Ranger with my trusty beast Nash.
Oh, next up, Ellen.
Hello, I'm Ellen. I play Senna Thunderhall. She is a half-elf bard slash cleric.
And last but not least, Sabamama.
Hey, I'm Cyber Mama, and I am playing a failing named Sasha, who is a swashbuckler rogue.
Yeah. All right. And with that, Wade, if you give us a little bit of what happened last time on the Black Waves.
Well, not too much in all honesty. We picked up camp from when we had last left off and began making our way, sneaking around the kobolds, deftly dodging some sort of predator stalking us in the time being, and eventually had made it to this strange rundown building that when putzing around it, we figured out, oh, my heart GPS tells us whatever's the fastest route, so apparently near this building is the fastest route, where inside we found a rundown, abandoned Tennu structure or what have you, and ultimately, after some chicanery with flipping switches, twisting wires, and just general brain dead tech support stuff, we had no clue what we were doing. We've managed to get a lift on board, and I believe we're trying to get the lift going now.
You guys actually have managed to get the lift going. All right, as we ended the session with your descent into darkness. So, let's see here. There we go. Get some music going. All right. So, as you are all strapped in to the lift, and you can feel your stomach in your throats as it drops faster and faster and faster straight down till eventually the white dot that is the surface above you disappears into nothing but darkness, and the occasional ring of lights that sort of zoom past you very quickly and create this illusionary effect. It feels like you're falling for ages until there's a loud click, and it stopped. Everything's stopped. You didn't feel anything either. It's just slowly your stomachs start to settle back in their correct places. And you're surrounded
What
by
can I
darkness.
I can see through any darkness, so what do I see?
You can't see through true darkness, but all you would be able to see down here currently, because I believe you have, 60 or 120 feet of dark vision?
120.
Okay, with 120, you're just able to make out on the bare cusps of your visions of your left and right the walls of a large cement tunnel that has been heavily broken down with the age of time. You can see several cracks in the foundation of the ceiling of the tunnel that you all are now standing in, with bits of vines and even patches of dirt on the ceiling above you. However, directly on eye level, everything seems to be pristine. And the floor is just straight, flat cement with two old, rusted rail tracks that are just heading off in the direction of the mountains. There are no lights down here.
There are no lights down here.
No lights.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna unhook myself and start unhooking our mounts, and I am going to latch a solar lamp to my mount, and turn the solar lamp on because it should be fully charged.
Okay. You go ahead and turn the solar lamp on, and you get a bright white fluorescent light that begins to pour from this solar lamp, and it only goes out about 30 feet before everything becomes dimmer past that. But it gives you a decent amount of light.
All right, I'm gonna hand 2 other solar lamps, one to Senna and one to Dash, so they can put those solar lamps on their mounts also, so that we get a good amount of light going. And I guess follow our intrepid Dash to see where we go from here.
You finish
Uh,
unstrapping everything from the lifts. You two are handed these solar lights, and you have an endless world of tunnels before you.
I don't suppose it's as specific as, oh, this tunnel is the fastest route.
You're unsure. The heart just simply leads you in the direction that the tunnel currently runs. Looking back, you do see that the tunnel continues going back behind where you came from, potentially, and you don't see an end to it that way direction either. It just goes off to the limit of your vision, and then darkness.
Okay. If
And
I
these tunnels. Sorry, these tunnels are not on the map that we got from the office.
They are on the map that you got from the office, specifically
okay.
the tunnel map. And do you want to go ahead and pull that out and try and take a look at where you are in comparison?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull out the map and spread
Sure.
it out on, I guess, on the ground.
Okay, so you go ahead and you spread it out on the ground below all you guys, and you prop up the edges with some paperweights and make sure that there's plenty of light on it. And you can see that this tunnel runs directly to the central hub that you're looking to go to, but it has several different branching pathways that it could take to other locations here on the island. 2 of those branching pathways would take you to the other 2 locations within the mountain range that are available to you, but those locations aren't marked with any specific place.
looking around these tunnels, just out of curiosity or paranoia, maybe. Do I see any signs like these are long abandoned, or is there signs like maybe something may have moved into these tunnels just ahead of time?
Make me a survival check.
Alright, survival. Hopefully these aren't monster-infested tunnels, but who's to say?
16. Taking a bit of time going around looking for any sets of tracks or any signs of nesting or any sort of movement whatsoever through these tunnels over however long they've been here. You, judging by the thickness of the dust down here and by the general lack of any sort of tracks or wear and tear from creatures, at least this portion of the tunnel hasn't been disturbed, outside of the cracking of the ceiling where you can see some roots of some trees have poked through.
Okay, so let me look at my things here. Yes, I actually have something that could help us here. I don't have much. I got 2 pieces because it came from, I don't remember where it came from. I think I just picked it up. I got some chalk, so I could use that to make sure we don't get lost, assuming things aren't down here wiping away chalk. But looking to Senna, you have map, yes? Does it say which is the fastest to mountain?
I guess this one.
Theoretically, yeah, unless there's a blockage.
Yeah.
Yeah, only one way to discover. And Dash will, in like the middle of the tunnel, taking what chalk he's got, he's gonna take a quick little just arrow showing that we headed down this tunnel.
Okay. Now, are you doing this on the platform that you came down on? Are you doing this in between the rails, or are you just going to mark beside the rails? Where are you marking specifically? You
Oh,
said
so
in the
wait,
middle.
we're like on a railed walkway.
There is a set of rails that does run along the central path line. It's
Rails
not
like
the
handrails or like cart rails?
cart rails.
Okay. I will say like in between the cart rails. I'll put it there. But I know that we followed this pathway this way.
Okay, fantastic.
Because I thought we were just go down here in like the smooth bore tunnels or like a mining tunnel. There's like cart trails that could actually make us a lot easier.
Yeah.
All right. So-
Okay. So you go ahead and you mark the bit of railing, and then I assume that you all begin to move into the darkness ahead.
Yeah.
We got those lanterns,
Head
so
Yes.
Who's going to head this adventure into the darkness?
Gotta be Dash.
I was going to vote the person with the most dark vision, but I could take point.
You know where the heart is. That's what we're really following.
All right. So I will take point, deferring to Senna as she does her best old school paper map finding our way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, as you begin to travel, the first 4 hours of travel go by normally and very boringly as you make your way down this tunnel, and it goes from patches of the roof being cracked in some way, shape, or form, or maybe some walls being cracked here on the left or right side, with various bits of plant life that has broken through the heavy cement that this tunnel's been formed from. But at the very end of that 4th hour, you start to notice that far off in the distance you can hear the sound of running water. And you still haven't reached an intersection just yet. However, looking at the map with Senna's help, you can tell that in about 120 feet or so, an intersection should come up.
Okay. And because it's caves, is it kind of like echoing all around? Or can we get like actual decoration?
It sounds like it's actually coming from in front of you. Like there's just the ever-present sound of running water. Give me a perception check to see if you can tell exactly, or better yet, a nature check.
Is that all?
Yeah, any of you can make this. It's loud enough at this point.
I am about 7 times better at perception than I am nature, but 13. It double clicked for
13,
some reason. I don't know why my mouse has been like double clicking a lot recently.
No, it's fine. So Desh and Sasha, you both would recognize the way the water sounds. It doesn't sound like it's running across the tunnel. It sounds like it's going straight down, and it's not hitting another body of water in auditory range.
Oh, it sounds like a waterfall type sound.
Mm-hmm.
Like a burst pipe that's turned into a waterfall.
It could be that, but that you would expect to hear the sound of either a puddle forming, or at least a large amount of water hitting cement is what you would expect to hear. But you don't hear that sound. You just hear the sound of falling, rushing water.
Okay.
Okay. Well, cautiously progress forward, keeping eyes peeled for anything different or that intersection that's supposed to be ahead of us.
Yeah. The closer and closer you get, as you begin to finally notice small drips of water every so often dripping down from the ceiling, you begin to see, at first you think it's just some sort of haze in front of you, until you get a bit closer and more light gets on it, that you realize there's actually just a straight waterfall going through the center of this tunnel. And the closer you get to it, there is a large portion of the tunnel right at the intersection that is missing. You can see the other two branching off tunnelways here, but in the center of all of it, there is a massive sinkhole that has formed and gone through, and only the edges of the walkway that would allow you to go to either the left tunnel, the right tunnel, or you could scoot around enough to eventually get back to the central tunnel remain. And there is just a bottomless pit that's roughly about 80 feet in a radius, just in the center of the walkway.
Okay. So
So somehow we've got to get around this, or go on another tunnel.
There's enough room left of the walkway for Nash to have to balance himself, but could get to one of the tunnelways.
now, question regarding the difference of this, because I know there is a stipulation between the two of it. Nash does have a climb speed. Is that I imagine climb speed is entirely upward. It can't be cling to the walls and climb around.
Correct. Yeah, that's gonna be going up. Now if he wanted to, he could go up diagonally, but he can't just go straight sideways.
And we can't see the bottom of this pit, right?
Not currently. Yeah, no. And would any of you like to attempt to stick a lantern or anything down there?
Oh no, thank you.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to do that personally.
As you get closer and
Definitely
closer
not.
to this thing, you notice that in the pit itself there's a slight part in the water, and the closer you get, you notice that there's a piece of rusted metal in that pit in the water. And you look at it for a while, and you realize it's the back end of what the Tanu call a train that goes straight down, and only the tip of it is sticking through the water up here.
Great.
Okay.
Does it look like Nash would be the only one who would be cutting it close, trying to skirt around the edge?
Everyone else could make it easily.
Okay, what if I cast levitate on Nash? And then I can put a rope on him and we can pull him along.
Well, I guess that's a good idea.
The weight limitation for levitate is 500 pounds, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. You would be able to levitate Nash, yes.
Not that big a boy yet.
Almost.
Shall I do this? Does Nash consent to being levitated?
I mean, he's done it once before, fighting that one flying skelly thing.
Mhm.
Dash would convey as best he can. Pit too big to jump. We make you fly across.
Oh,
Nash.
I can cast fly on him. I don't know why I forget that I can do both. I can cast fly, and then nobody has to pull him along like a balloon. Like I can.
That's
cast
what I was
fly.
thinking. It was just
I don't know. I always do that.
you pulling him
I'll
along.
cast fly on him, and then there's no problem.
All right, so instead you go ahead and you cast fly on Nash.
Yep.
And almost instinctively he begins to slightly float off the ground and move forward. And it takes a couple of seconds for him to properly get his flying legs underneath him, one could say. But he does manage to figure things out and figure out how to properly go up and down, things like that. And Nash, do you just ride him across?
Sure. I'll fly to victory.
Fantastic. You fly to victory. Go ahead and give me a perception check as you're going over the over this hole. Specifically you, Desh.
Oh yay, what horrors lie in the deep.
20. Wow. Okay. So as Nash begins to go over this hole, and he's sort of skirting the edges that way he doesn't get hit by the water or anything like that, you notice that the hole itself looks like it only goes about another 100 feet down, where you can see the front end of this train, and then it just takes a sudden dip straight out and forward to the north.
Okay, so there's like another level down there.
Mm-hmm.
That level's underwater, right?
You're not sure. From what you can see, it's just the moment the water hits down there, it just slides off the ground and starts heading in that direction. But it hasn't gone up very high in level at all.
Okay. Just out of a curiosity, if we flew down there just to see what's down there.
I mean, do you do it or do you ask the group?
I would talk back to them and let them know there is another way in direction we need. Does map say anything about the layer below?
Does it?
Not at all. It's
Nope.
only got the official tunnels mapped out.
Oh, the official tunnels. That's an unsanctioned tunnel. Great.
Yeah, be careful. We don't know what's down there. Like, something could be hungry.
Where this tunnel down there is it like line up? Like it's directly below the tunnel we're coming from or the tunnel we're going to?
The tunnel you're going to, it directly lines up, yeah. Perfect circle, too.
There are no perfect circles in nature.
I don't feel good about this. I think we should just ignore the slippy slide there.
Yeah, currently Desh is going across all the way and touching down on that side, but Desh is following us away, so if the tunnel we're following is blocked off and there's no other route, that below tunnel could be an option.
Make me a stealth check as Nash comes over to the other side and you for the briefest moment land.
Oh, I don't like that. So Nash is too weird and wonky.
It makes sense. You know, Nash is not used to having the ability to fly, and stealth is certainly not a priority on his mind at the moment. All right, fantastic. Okay, so you get across, and as you land, the reason Nash makes so much noise is because he kind of lands on the edge. And he doesn't land facing the hole, but he lands facing the rest of the tunnel. And you hear the sound of something crumpling, and Nash takes a few steps forward, and you hear, and the other two you watch as a portion of the concrete and dirt like chips and crumbles away and falls into that hole, and makes a loud clacking sound as it falls into the very rock heavy dirt down there.
I don't much like that.
Okay, Senna, you go. I'm right behind you.
Okay.
Right, Senna. You don't have to fly across. You can just take the pathway. However, I'd like you to make me a straight intelligence check.
Oh, God. I'm a bard. I'm not a smart person. I'm just charismatic. Oh,
16.
that wasn't bad.
Watching as Nash landed on the other side, you get this feeling that probably sticking as close to the wall as possible is going to be your best bet here. Because if you step the wrong way anywhere near the edge, you have this sinking feeling that it might just crumble away and you could fall in.
I mean, I think I probably would be sticking close to the wall no matter what. I don't want to fall to my death or get snapped up in the jaws of a giant sarlacc or something. So Yep, I'm good up against this wall.
Fantastic. So you instruct Timo and give me an animal handling check.
Oh, Timo.
This
Timo
is a bit of
loves
a new
me.
situation for you and Timo, and Timo's not too comfortable around a giant hole in rushing water. 16. That's not bad. You try your darnest to get Timo to stick near the wall, and he takes the occasional slight step further away from the wall than you'd want. But for the most part, you're able to keep him as close as possible. And you successfully go ahead and get across. Make me a stealth check with both of you.
I don't know how to make a stealth check for Timo.
For Timo,
That's
let's
the
see
both
here.
of you.
Let's
I don't have a
see.
character sheet for
Yeah.
Timo.
So for Timo, you're gonna be. Oh, he's straight up just a D20. He doesn't have a Dex modifier.
Oh, Timo!
Wow. Timo.
Looks like
Go
a
Timo.
feather.
Holy crap! You don't hear hooves as he steps across. It's just silent gliding, peaceful.
Good boy.
All right. Last but not least, finally, the rogue of the party.
Oh God. All right. So, what am I doing? I'm
You
staying close
you are
to the
gonna
wall.
yeah, absolutely. I'd rule that you're able to just figure that the best option, the best course would probably just be follow the same path that Senna took. So you go ahead and do that and make me an animal handling check.
Okay.
Okay. So it takes a bit of coaxing. And go ahead and make me a stealth check. But you do manage to get across without any issue. And this is going to be a stealth check for you, and then for your animal. Give me 1 second.
And do I just roll a 1d20 for my animal?
Yes, you do. They don't. He does not have a dexterity modifier at all. So 16 good, 16. All right. So Nash. Wow, Nash is the only one who did poorly. Everybody else is fine. All right.
Yeah.
Very interesting indeed. Okay, so as you all get across, and I imagine that Desh is sort of watching the hole, seeing if anything happens down there while you all are crossing. Everyone, go ahead and make me perception checks as you finish crossing. 13 for Senna.
Mhm.
17 for Desh. 8 for Sasha. Desh, your eyes are keenest on this. After all, it was Nash who made that noise. And you could see that at the bottom of the tunnel, for the briefest of seconds, you saw a flash of blue. And it looked almost like an electrical spark.
Oh, okay. Not sure I like that. Like, take a good hard look. Make sure if maybe anything down there is shifting.
Go ahead and make me an investigation in that case.
Nah.
6. No. Nah. It must have been a trick of the light, or maybe the old electronics on the train sparked for a moment, and that's what you saw. You're not sure, but you have the path before you.
All right. Well, how we progress?
You begin to progress deeper and deeper, and you get a good 80 feet out before you see the next issue. The next issue being that there isn't a pothole or a sinkhole. There isn't a cave-in. There is just a man-made wall that has been constructed in the middle of this tunnel out of planks of wood and you can see that it is a large gatehouse. There are no torches that are lit, but you can see that there are placeholders where torches would be. The wood looks heavily warped and aged. You can see a few vines even sticking out through the cracks in the wood. And the doors are closed.
There happen to be any like ominous signs put up on it?
Is there a lock on the door?
Make me a perception check. Sasha and Desh, you do notice that written in red, heavily faded over time, there is a large bit of lettering sloppily put along the side of this wall. Most of it's been covered over by the vines and other greenery that's grown out of the bits of plank. Although you can't read it, something in your mind says it's a warning of some kind. There are no locks that you can physically see, though.
Senna, do you know this language?
Looking over at Senna, I mean, like earlier, it has its base roots. And the best you can decipher from it, something along the lines of crawls.
Oh,
Crawls.
Lovely.
That doesn't bode well. It's probably not talking about a baby.
Or it's the most horrifying baby.
Okay. I mean, we have to go that way. So,
Is there any
Right.
way to get these doors open?
You're not sure. I mean, they look to be closed, shut. You don't see any locking mechanism on them. They're very large. They sit about 15 feet tall. The size of these double doors that you're looking at, they have heavy signs of aging, to the point where there's a light sheen on the wood itself, and it's been almost permanently changed to a light green wood from either fungi or
Right, so
algae
there's
slowly
no-
growing on it.
There's no handles or anything like that?
No handles. It's just smooth cutouts of a door. Double door.
I mean, it's just wood. We could just burn a hole in it if we had to. But what happens if we push on the door?
So you go up to it, and do you hop off of Timo, or do you get Timo to push?
I'll hop. Timo's not so good at the headbutting. That didn't go well, so I will hop off and push.
All right, you hop off, and as you put your hand against the wood, you instantly get this disgusted feel as your hand mushes into the sopping wet wood a good 3 inches, as it feels almost like drenched cardboard almost, and it sort of slaws off underneath your hand, and you can feel it begin to grime and pile up in between your fingers.
Oh.
Almost like a putty. And as you give it a push, there's a loud creaking, and something sounds like it snaps, and the 2 doors just fall completely over and melt partially into themselves from the force of falling over. And
Like that, the
there's
door's
just
open.
darkness ahead. But you can see the
Got
faintest
'em open.
outlines of what looks like buildings. Wooden buildings.
Did
Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna assume that was sort of loud. Did that stir
Oh,
up
that was loud. Yeah.
anything? Are there like creepy bats or anything come
Nothing
rushing at us?
alive comes
or
rushing out. There's no flutter
Anything
of bats
dead
that
come
suddenly-
rushing out?
Not yet.
Does the air smell funny?
That it does.
There is a whoosh of stale uh, algae thick air that comes out from this entrance that you've now made.
Alrighty then.
Mm,
Okay, so I'll get off my mount and safely walk my mount over
Okay.
into the darkness.
So as you take your first step into the darkness, pushing past Senna, your foot comes down onto the now knocked over double doors, and your foot kind of just mushes into it with relative ease, and you just have this grimy slime beginning to sludge and pool up on the sides of your feet, and it sticks like mud as you begin to muddily slop through the door, going from one side to the other. And you can see off to your left is a small wooden shack, and it looks to be in a similar state to the gatehouse. However, you can read the words on it. It says bar. Off to your right, it says inn. And there is a general goods store three buildings down, and this was a town. From where you're standing, there's a good 30 buildings already. But there isn't a single body. And everything is just covered in moss.
Okay, let's get this over with. Come on, guys.
I kind of want to poke my head into the general goods store and just see if there's anything useful.
Okay. So
left in there.
you make your way in, and of course you have that disgusting, mushy smear on the bottom of your feet as you walk over the door, and you make your way towards the general goods store, and you notice that the doors to the general goods store look like they were burst in at one point, and now there's just a huge amount of moss and vines that have come from inside the store and wrapped around several times on the wooden door, and there's a nice thicket of a bush that's taking up most of the inside of the general store. But you can see deep in there, that looks sort of like a countertop to where the teller would be, and there are a couple of shelving units in there, but there are vines all over them, and there's some broken glass that you can see on top of some of the wooden partitions, and looks like there's some old cans of beans on one of the shelf. And this is just you standing at the entrance. But the shop does go further in, as you've got a good maybe 50 feet to get to the actual tunnel wall.
Yeah, no, I think I'm over this. I don't think I want to get chewed up by any sentient vines or anything like that. I think that was enough. I think I'm going to go back and just continue on.
Yeah, you get back on the main trail, and as you do, you notice the sensation of walking through sludgy wood isn't going to end, as you can see that
Oh, God.
this town was in the middle of renovating the floor, and they had partially, well, I shouldn't say partially, I should say most of the central walkway looks like it was being laid over with wood, and now it's just a soppy, algae-ridden mess. And there's even a cart that's covered in bioluminescent flora and fauna that just sits on one side of the road. Not a single body in sight.
All right, this is definitely creepy. Let's get through here as quickly as possible.
You all
Yep.
continue walking along through the wooden sludge, and make me all perception checks.
Yeah, something's gonna come and get us.
Desh
Oh god.
and Senna. As you're making your way through this town, and you're passing by shops and small restaurants and cafes and a few residential buildings, you come upon what looks to be the largest of the buildings, which goes from the bottom of the tunnel all the way up to the ceiling of the tunnel. And it looks like a large manor, almost. It's got a beautiful, well, what once was a beautiful, grand arching double stairway that leads up to the main porch, which is a good 15 feet off the ground, and 2 huge double doors. All the windows have been busted out, and you can see various different vines and algae growing out of them and onto this large manor that goes from the floor to the ceiling. And you could swear that in the 3rd story window, you saw for the briefest of moments something green scurry across.
Well, the rifle is at the ready as we're just trekking through here because there's no wind, there's no nothing. If there's movement down here, it's gotta be a thing.
Very true. This is very true indeed.
Okay.
I'm
let's
seeing
quickly get
movement
through this.
in this area. Am I seeing outside of plants? Like, is there any sign of life, like nesting or
Outside
creatures?
of plants, not that you can see yet. And you continue walking along for
Sentient
maybe
murder plants.
another minute or so, and you notice on the edge of the manor, as you're about to break away from the manor itself and get to more smaller actual residential buildings now, small townhouses, there is sort of a wooden sidewalk or walkway that connects all these buildings on either side of this tunnel. And a couple of the boards on the side of the manor sort of bulge suddenly and begin to fold almost like liquid for just a few moments as you just watch a hump of something go underneath the wood and then go deeper in.
Some shit's going down here.
Okay, let's move it along quicker.
Go ahead and make me another round of stealth checks.
Since I'm seeing things down here, Desh is most certainly popping a pass without trace.
Okay.
With 1.
Ooh.
Well, that pass without a trace gives us an extra 10, thankfully.
It doesn't negate a natural 1, though.
Even though everyone else did so well to pick up the dead weight.
Oh no. Look at his face.
So, as you all are
don't I
moving
get
along,
advantage with stealth because of the fact that I have my elven boots?
do your elven boots give you advantage? Please read the description and tell me, because
Yes,
that
they
will make a
do.
massive
They said-
difference.
It says because I have elven boots, I have dex and stealth advantage.
Okay,
Like, so
Good.
very, very big difference.
that is a
Yes.
very big difference. That is the difference between combat and not combat. As you can see from a couple of the buildings now, there are a couple of these creatures that are moving underneath the wooden planks that are now mush. 6 or 7 humps form for just a few seconds. And almost like a wave coming out of one of the buildings. You watch as they come out the side of a building and slowly sink into the sidewalk and continue to another building and then disappear in that building. You don't actually see a creature, you just see the wood reacting as if something's moving through it.
Hey. Be very quiet.
You continue moving along, and this town goes for miles. You still haven't found a single body. But after
Yeah, because they've all been eaten.
4 hours of journeying
Got
through
away.
this algae-ridden, mushy, disgusting town, you finally see another large wooden wall. And you can see that the only locking mechanism it has is a large wooden bar that was going across. And a part of Cinna thinks maybe that's the snapping noise you heard initially. When you pushed against the door, was it just melting and snapping as you put force onto it? So, unfortunately, Pass Without a Trace only lasts for an hour.
Unless I wanna keep.
Whoever is going to open the door, the final stealth check.
Well,
Can give somebody bardic inspiration.
Well, I
What
mean,
would you like to do in order to give them bardic inspiration without making noise?
I will. I have to use words
Since
or
I've got
music.
advantage,
I will.
since I've got
Okay.
advantage, I'll do it.
Okay.
oh, I also have a +8.
She's got a +7
um,
and
That's not
advantage.
Actually, yeah, +7 advantage. It's
I've
better
got
than
a
me.
+7 in advantage.
Do your
Okay.
thing.
So
I will whisper. Oh wait, before she did her thing,
You said
I
I will
whispered.
whisper, so I'm listening.
I will whisper in Sasha's ear that she can do anything she puts her mind to, and I have complete faith in her, and inspire her
Okay.
to do
Don't use the word faith. That's out of bad context for her.
trust. And you
Okay,
can roll
what do I?
what the hell level are we? We're level 8. It's a D8.
So yeah, you get a
1d8.
D8 from that, and your DM would have also given given a little bit more out of that if you had whispered, "Hey, little mama, let me whisper in your ear." But
Next time.
so you sneak
Alright,
up to the door.
So that gives me a total of 20.
Sneak up to the door. And you move
Mm.
extremely slow. How do you want to open it? What method do you want to use?
Is this also soft?
If you go and you like take a single finger, you take like your index finger and you try and push slightly against it, yeah. Softer than the first door. Like going through butter. You theoretically could walk through this door.
Ew, but you'll get all gross. Don't
Mhm.
do it.
All right. I'm going to use a dagger. And
Like cutting a chocolate cake. You
Mm.
take out a
very,
dagger.
very carefully slice our section that's large enough, but I'm doing it in small bits so
Bit
that
by bit,
the
yeah.
slosh
Absolutely.
gently lays down on the ground without making noise.
Yeah, and every time you cut away a section and you move it out of the way and you let it fall to the ground, it instantly just becomes a paste as it hits the ground. Until you get to the very, very bottom of the door, that just stays there. But yeah, you manage to, over time, it's going to take you maybe a good 2 minutes to get it quietly done, to go ahead and get this space cut out. But you do manage to get it cut out, and there is now a space large enough for Desh and Nash, as well as the rest of the party, to fit through.
Okay, that's what I do.
Go ahead and saddle back up, And the three of you in your mounts make your way through the now cut open door. And on the other side, there is no concrete tunnel. It's just dirt and vines and little itty bitty chunks of concrete. And it looks like it's been torn to high hell. You don't know what by what, but you have the shape of the tunnel.
I mean, are there claw
What does
marks?
your
Are there
map say
blast
about it?
marks?
Make me a nature check.
Okay. Yeah, no. What are claws?
What kind of damage would they do to something like this? To Cinna, it looks like a beautiful case of erosion. To Sasha, you quickly realize the concrete was there once. It's just been ripped up from underneath, like waves of something or many somethings moved through here.
Well, I
With a
whisper
19.
that to the-
I'll let you
I
know.
whisper that to the group.
You suspect that you've just passed a town full of Gricks.
Ooh.
Okay. I'll whisper that to the group.
Mhm.
We need to be very careful.
So as you assumedly continue on, because the only other choice is back through that creepy, disgusting, mushy town, which, by the way, the hooves and paws of your animals are now caked in sludgy,
Ew.
algae-filled wood.
Stop saying sludgy.
Slimy.
That's
Sacky.
better.
That sacky is another one of your words.
I don't think
Uh,
Saki is a word.
Sacky is a word. Hacky sacky.
Gonna press
Alright.
X to doubt on that language.
When we get back on the concrete, we can wash their feet. When we get back on the concrete.
Well, before you lies a dirt path. So, you continue
right now
onward.
It's a dirt path. But
And this goes for hours. Not literally 4 hours, but 2 hours to be precise. Until you see concrete once again. However, along with that concrete, you see something very particular. Another perfectly carved circle that cuts into a portion of it, along with 4 other circles going through the side of the wall, the ceiling, and further down. And it looks like above there must be a water pipe that runs, or several water pipes that run above these tunnels, because there is more water pouring down into the dirt below. This time actually forming a large puddle.
okay,
Okay.
but we can go around this, right?
Doesn't even
And
take you
keep
any
going.
effort. You do go around. Make me another round of stealth checks.
Pass without a trace would be great now.
No, I mean I only got
Late.
so many. we did fine enough.
Need to check on their sheets.
God, this adventure at this point definitely feels like, oh, stick to the walls and any level to go deep into a high level area you're not ready for, just by avoiding aggroing the monsters.
So, as you're going forward, eventually you do hit the concrete. And as you get to that last hole in the concrete, off to the right-hand side, in smack dab in the center of the wall, you all look over, just subconsciously, to see what could possibly be in these holes. And for the most part, they're empty. But when you get to that last one, Make me all either nature or arcana checks, whichever is your highest. As you
Both.
see a large, some might even classify it as a huge monstrosity.
Oh, it's Nash size.
Desh. My boy Desh.
Yeah.
You've seen this once before.
Oh God.
Very briefly. And in a museum. It's a behir. And it's currently sleeping in that hole.
Fuck.
Go.
But judging by its size, that's not the only one here.
Oh, it's the baby. Where's Mama?
Oh my god. Oh.
Let's go.
You guys continue along. And by, as Desh said, by one, you guys get past and you only notice the slightest of twitches from one of the eyelids as you move past. Till eventually you get far enough away that you hope it can't hear you. And once again, you are met by plain, boring, cement tunnel with a few sets of rail going through the center. And that is where we're going to take our first break.
Ah.
All right. Thank you all so much for coming out. We'll see you soon. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Black Waves. Alright, so continuing forward as you pass by the Behir. Quickly, quietly, stealthily. And you return once more to the plain, cement-tracked tunnel. Several hours have passed at this point. What would you like to do?
If we feel we're out of range for sound making,
Mm-hmm.
are we still on track by the map?
By the map, you're still on track, and you're about halfway there. By the map.
Gotta put that little extra bit in to make a stout. All right.
Was the town on the map?
No, not at all.
Okay. That's
Ah.
disconcerting. All right, should we clean up and then make camp? We can put the tents behind each other so we don't take up too much of the walkway. That way, since they're invisible, if something goes by, we can pretty much keep our stealth here. We don't want to block the whole passage.
Yeah, I mean, are we at the point where if we continue, we're gonna push ourselves into like exhaustion?
You could probably continue for another 2 hours max before it'd be necessary to rest.
Yeah, I mean, we might as well rest and start fresh.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put up the tents close to the wall, and make sure they're right next to each other, and there's plenty of room to move by.
Okay.
I'm gonna clean the feet of the animals and make sure that they're all nestled in and they have their water and their food.
Okay.
Before I close them up in one tent.
All right. It's a hard squeeze to get them all in one tent, but you do manage to do it. A little bit of Nash's tail sticks out the tiniest bit at the back end, but you make sure that's closest to the wall itself.
Okay. I'll even give Nash a few marbles.
Okay.
In his food, and I'll take a marble myself, and go ahead and I'll set up for first watch.
All right.
Who's going to be second watch?
Roll me a D100 on your marble.
Okay.
I'll pick up second watch.
52.
52. Spring roll calamari.
Yum yum. Okay. Well, do I need to roll something for my watch?
Roll me a perception check. $22. In no way threatening the camp. As your watch goes on, you notice that in the direction that you're looking to head, there is initially what at first you've been thinking has just been heavy coatings of dust. And if you have dust sitting around for long enough and you introduce it to wind and things like that, it'll float in the air and make this grand view of like these floating particles in the air. But as you watch it closer and closer, it's a good 80 feet out from camp, you notice you're not looking at dust, you're looking at spores just hanging in the air, drifting ever so slightly up and down like a crashing wave, the upper portion of the tunnel. but no sound of any creatures alerts you, and there's no visuals of any creatures that alerts you either.
Okay, are the spores coming from where we came or
Where you're going.
towards where we're going? Great. And they're only at the ceiling level?
They look to be drifting down from the ceiling level and in like waves almost. So it'll come out a bit further, and then it'll recede in a bit, and then it'll come out further and recede in a bit. And it looks like it's almost on the cycle of someone taking very slow, deliberate breaths.
I'm going to try very hard to listen to see if I can hear breathing from down there.
Not from where you are, no.
I think it's time for me to try to pray.
Okay. You go ahead, give that a little prayer. Religion check. 11. You don't know if your message was received or not, but, you know. There wasn't the sound of thunder. Nothing horrible happened.
Right at the end of my watch, I'll wake up Dash.
All right, Dash, you were
and
woken
tell
up.
him about the fact that the dust down there, about 80 feet down, looks like spores up in the air drifting down, and it seems to be going upon a pattern of almost breathing, but I don't hear anything, and I want him to make sure that he pays attention and sees all he can possibly see.
All right.
I'm gonna go to bed.
So what is
So
the
I
limit of
post.
your dark vision?
I got 60.
Yeah, you have 60. As you look in that direction, I mean, unless you walk out from camp, you can't see it.
Okay, well. I will say, knowing my boy Nash has better vision than I do, I'll put Nash on, like, watching that direction, while I will post up in the other direction to keep my eyes up.
Okay. So both of you make me perception checks.
So for me, 17, and for my boy Nash, natural 20.
Natural
Natural
20. You guys are there for most of your watch with nothing happening. However, you notice that when you're getting ready to turn in for your watch, Nash begins to look like his heckles have been raised as he's looking in that direction.
Okay, well, sucks because I can't see what he's seeing, probably.
No, you can't.
I will approach and quietly, let me make sure I got the right thing. Actually, I don't think that applies here. Yeah, it does give me specifics for primeval awareness. I can't physically talk to Nash and figure out what he's seeing.
He's alert to something down there.
Can I tell from him whether or not it's alert he sees something, or it's alerting him to the point where it's like fight or flight?
From his mannerisms, you think it's alert he sees something.
Okay, I'm gonna keep my rifle at the ready, but this is at the end of my watch, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll back up from there, keeping Nash looking that way, and I will go rouse Senna for her watch. And upon her waking up, Desh will point in the direction Nash is currently looking off in. Nothing from that way, but Nash, better eyes than I. He seems to see something. Sasha spoke of spores, mushrooms, I'm not sure, but something moving the air as if breathing. I can't be sure what Nash sees, but I'd say perhaps keep watch that way specifically.
All right.
At which point Dash will get Nash, keep him pull him back, set up where we are, but Dash is very much sleeping against Nash, kind of orienting us so both Dash and Nash are facing that way as he's just sleeping with his rifle on his lap.
Okay.
Just leaning up against Nash.
Fantastic. All right. So, Senna, 20. Very good. What is the max view distance of your dark vision?
60 feet.
60 feet, okay. You pay attention in all directions as best you can. And your watch passes for the most part until the very end of it, in the direction that Dash told you to pay attention to. For the briefest of moments, you see an outline of a figure. Small. No larger than a halfling. It looks oddly misshapen. Its head is far too expanded outwards, almost like it's wearing a large hat. And its left arm is longer than its right arm, although its arms aren't very long to begin with. And you can see just the faintest, tiniest bits of small patches of what looks like bioluminescence. And it's just this radiating light blue light that really gives away some of the figure. And from that bioluminescence, you can just see the ever slight shade of purple and green. And in its right hand is a crooked and slightly bent spear. And it looks down in your direction for a couple of minutes before turning around on its heels, and it wobbles slightly as it turns around. And like a penguin, it begins to waddle up the tunnel.
Okay.
And as it leaves, you just hear the lights in the distance. And you notice this wall of tiny spores sort of push its way out, and then slowly, as if being pushed by a wind, begins retracting.
Great.
And that is the end of your watch.
All right. I will pass along what I saw.
The tonight is
Okay.
the itchy glasses people eye.
Yeah.
Everybody has itchy eyes. At least those of us who wear glasses.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go ahead and have rations and make sure that the animals are fed and watered, and then very quietly pack up and put everything away.
All right, you very quietly
Is
go ahead
it
and get
dark
everything
down the
packed up.
tunnels?
It is, absolutely. Only by the sight of your dark vision, and if you have the solar lamp still on, is what
Yeah.
you're able to see.
All right. Dash take point.
Alright. So I take points and progress.
Okay.
Ready for spore people.
You don't have to go far before you begin to see that wall of spores that was mentioned to you earlier.
Is the air just kind of really thick with them?
Extremely thick with them.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell everyone to take a step back, including Nash, because I got an idea. Dash is going to go into his pack. He is going to pull out his tinderbox and a torch and light the torch.
Okay. You go ahead and pull out the torch and the tinderbox and you light it.
All right, I have a lit torch.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just to be careful, because I don't know if this is going to be fucking grain dust in the equivalent, but taking the torch and then just kind of throwing it into the cloud of spores, see if it catches fire.
All right, you throw it into the cloud of spores, and you watch as, almost like watching the circular vapor trails of like a propeller plane go through a cloud of smoke. You watch as it begins to part this spores and creates this flaming circle of spores as it flies through and then drops to the ground. And it continues to create this pocket of non-spored area where the flame is burning, and you can even see these like embers beginning to fall very rapidly, almost like watching a meteor storm.
Okay.
Until eventually the torch gets snuffed out.
Oh, okay. So this is some real spore shit. Now we're closer. Is like on the roof. Is there like fungus or moss or? Do we have a
You can
source
see
of the
that
spores?
the roof itself actually, in roughly about a 60-degree arc on the top of the roof, it's discolored, and it looks like a grayish brown, semi-translucent, like flesh is layered over it.
Oh, lovely. Can't describe it as flesh. Okay. Well,
It'd be great to have a blowtorch about now.
maybe, but for now, I'm gonna go into my pack as well. Not liking how the spores are reacting, and I still have about a pound of purple silk in my bag. It's probably not the best, but I mean it's woven by silkworms.
Mhm.
Is it possible I could try to fashion like masks out of them, or just like get them over like
Sure.
mouth?
Interesting. Make me a survival check.
15.
All right, you are ready for the coronavirus, 100%. As you fashion a mask.
Okay. All right. Does that take up
I'm
all
gonna
the silk
take
or?
I'm gonna take up his lead and pull out some of my silk also, and create masks for myself, Senna, and the mounts, and that includes Nash.
As
Making
I was
one
gonna
for
say.
Nash
I
is
have
going to be
enough
a
silk.
bit hard. Nash has a very odd shaped mouth. Let's put it that way.
It's okay. It's all right.
Okay.
We'll take our time.
Go ahead and make me a survival
Do I
check for
need to make
yourself
survival
and
check?
Senna.
Okay.
All right, and then one for the mounts, not including Nash. And then a final one for Nash. With the mounts, you don't do so well. It's very thin.
Okay.
Same with Nash.
All right.
I mean, it's just a
so I
lot of
asked
surface.
for some help. Yeah, I asked for some help on this. I'm not doing well for their theirs. So I pull out more silk, and I ask uh, Dash to help me reshape these masks for the mounts and for Nash.
All right.
Okay.
So,
I
with
will
advantage, one of
attempt-
you can please make me a survival check.
I'll go for it.
Why don't you do that, Ash? Okay.
23.
Alright,
That's
so we get it done.
yeah. You get it done for the mounts. Now I need one for Nash. With advantage once
give-
more.
Give my boy a good look over. I know how to handle him. Hopefully, 19.
18. Yeah. Or 19. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. All right. So you go ahead and create this mask. Takes up all of the material that you have on you, but you're able to do it.
Oh, inhaling
Okay.
spores can't be good for our health, so.
You never know.
Okay.
And
Right.
who is the first to
So,
breach the spores?
I will
I
risk
think
it.
we also ought to light torches. Let's also light torches.
Okay, so I guess light another
Hand
torch,
everybody a torch.
Okay.
and Dash
The
will
first
take
torch
point.
lasted for maybe a good minute before it was snuffed out.
Well, also the first torch was kind of stationary, so I'm hoping if I keep
Very true.
moving it, giving it oxygen, it'll not
Yeah.
have spores pile up on it, is my hope. But Dash just kind of shouldering his gun, torch masked up to avoid mushroom poisoning, will breach the thing and then just kind of like giving the torch, like trying to paint the path ahead of me with the torch.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so you go ahead and you breach the spores. Nash, of course, being the true first victim of the spore. As you quickly watch as every tiny little spore seems to immediately, the moment it touches his scales, cling like wet like wet paper towels on a dry
Ew.
surface. It just begins to cling and clump up all over him, including on top of the mask as he's going forward. And if you try and brush some of it off with your hand, it begins to just cling to your hand instead. But you're creating like a sparkling trail of burning spores as you move the torch
Is it
around.
also clinging to me as I go?
Oh yeah.
Right.
And you begin to go in, and so far no adverse effects.
Yeah, so far.
Who's the next to breach?
Senna would be right behind him on the last.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll go next.
Sene, you breach. Do you also take the torch method?
Yep.
All right. So, like following two sparklers on giant mounts, Sasha, you finally breach. And all three of you are having these
Okay,
spores stick onto you immediately.
I had 9 pounds of silk webbing. I
Oh, yeah.
took up the whole thing.
You took up the whole thing. Absolutely.
Ash was a big boy.
So,
Okay.
As you are continuing through, I'm assuming that you're using the torches to basically keep the area where your eyes are the clearest.
Yeah.
And you continue through, and after about the first minute of travel, where it's just nothing but a sea of spores and that fleshy texture that's beginning to overtake the ceiling, you watch as it begins to spread out and spread out and spread out until eventually it gets to right about the halfway point down the walls of the tunnel. And up at your top right, just ahead of the group, you see this large mushroom receded into the cement, just the top of the mushroom sticking out. But it doesn't just look like the top of the mushroom, as there are these large, perfectly cylindrical balls, spheres, one might say, of bioluminescent crystalline surfaces that are implanted in the top of the mushroom. And there's about 30 of them over the entire surface of the top of this mushroom. And the further out you look, the more of these you can begin to spread out all along the walls, until eventually a couple of them are sitting nice and high at about shoulder height for Timo, 60 feet out. If any of you have, I don't remember what the phobia is called. Let me check on that for you. Da-da-da-dum. Tryptophobia. This would definitely be triggering it.
No.
Yeah. And I will recommend that those of you who don't know what tryptophobia is and want to look that up, please go ahead and look that up on your own. As you begin to see, the further and further you get in, not only are these mushrooms perforated by these perfect spheres, but also the flesh becomes pockmarked on almost every inch of it by tiny itty-bitty holes that are just filled with these tiny little balls that are giving off light portions of light, from yellows to blues to greens to reds. It's a disco party show in here, only the colors are static and go in sort of waving patterns. Make me perception checks.
What do I see?
What do your elven eyes see? Well,
My
your
kobold eyes
reptilian
have been on
eyes see
point.
22.
Yeah, my kobold eyes have been on point tonight.
Not I.
All right, so Desh, you're the first to see it, but you see something move out of the corner of your right eye, and you look over towards it, and you can see this creature beginning to slowly climb over the top of one of these mushrooms. And I'm going to bring its token up.
Oh, we got visuals.
Yes, indeed you do.
Oh,
Okay.
Lord in heaven.
You watch as this, well, the best way to describe it is fungi creature
A
with
mycetid?
several holes. Oh, you know exactly what it is. Yes, some would call it a myconid. Make its way over one of these large mushrooms. And then another. And another. And another. And another. Until eventually there are about 30 of them.
Oh, God.
Spread out in the tunnel.
Okay.
And you see this dark shape slowly making its way from the ceiling, almost like a spider falling gently from a web. And it lands, and it rights itself, and it begins to stand, and it's large, and definitely not mushroom-like, as you see
Oh,
an Umber Hulk.
yay.
Great.
land in the
Oh.
center of the tunnel.
Well, there's
Um,
no talking with that thing.
What do you all do?
Well, Dash is definitely, fucking. If my torch is still lit, he's dropping it, and then he's pulling up the gun aimed at the Umber Hulk.
Okay. You level your gun
firing
towards
yet.
the Umber Hulk. And you watch as the several smaller myconids around you begin to bring up the small spears that they have crafted out of what looks like twined together fungi.
Are the Myconids afraid of the Umber Hulk?
No.
Okay. I'm going to put my hands up like this and say, I don't know if they speak common. I'm going to say, we don't mean you any harm. We're just passing through.
Make me a persuasion check.
Holy roly, Batman.
So, you say we mean you no harm, we're just passing through. And you watch as the myconids, some of them cock their heads like a confused dog for a few moments. And you can see many of them begin to slowly raise their spears back up. And eventually, down the tunnel, you see this very faint light, a normal light, swinging back and forth through the dark spores. A creature no taller than a halfling also begins making its way, but this time past the Umber Hulk, which gives you more details on the Umber Hulk. You can see that it looks like it's has portions of its shell have been cracked open, and small, tiny, thin mushrooms have grown out of those portions of its shell.
Oh, it's fucking cordyceps. Great. Zombie Umber Hulk.
And you can see not a micronid, something slightly larger making its way.
We're in the middle ground between Myconid and Umber Hulk.
Yes, we are in the middle ground, absolutely. As you watch a Quagoth make its way
Oh.
up
Okay.
toward all of
oh,
you.
God.
It looks old, like much of it is rotted away. Some of it even looks like it's been chewed away. But it holds a small lantern, enclosed, so you don't see any burning spores around it. And it just looks all of you over. Before, from all around you, all at the same time, and in one voice, in a multitude of different pitches of voices, you hear, "What brings you to this place?"
We're passing through to reclaim something that was stolen from my friend here. We don't mean you any harm. We're just trying to find what was lost.
They stand there, all creepily, now swaying slightly left and right, in a similar,
Hey.
perfectly timed motion. "What is this object you seek?" They all say this at the same time,
Uh.
and it echoes through the tunnel.
It's an artifact from his home. His his world is to survive. They need it back. It was stolen. We've just come to reclaim it.
Why should we let you through? Destroyer of worlds, creatures of the humanoid race.
We haven't destroyed anybody's worlds. We're just trying
Your
to
kind destroys worlds!
save. We're trying to save a world. We haven't harmed you.
Speak
just-
the truth! Persuasion check.
To be fair, we've yet to kill anything in this tunnel yet.
This is very true, yes. 20. This one speaks truth. And you, rider of the great beast. You presumably are the friend, yes? You are the one they
Yes.
call Desh.
Did anyone say my name up until now?
No.
Like that. But Desh will look to Senna, and then back to him. Yes, I am Desh. I am from other place. Feywild. The item I seek, the Heart of the Grove. An artifact of my mother in her realm. It was stolen. Without it, each day that passes, she wilts.
A noble cause indeed. We will not fight you this day. However, there is but one challenge that lies before you.
We have
Soon
passed
you
many-
will meet him. The great Drake of the tunnel. Soon
actual-
you will fight him. And if you should survive, we will be thankful, for we will have many things to eat.
If they want to eat some dragon.
Will, is there anything you can do to help us?
We dare not. We dare not, dear girl. They call you Cinna. Yes, I feel it.
Who's
Yes.
they?
I
We
guess
dare
we
not
can
challenge
pass.
such a beast, for it would be foolish. And to do so has cost us the territory to the south of here that the Behirs now take as their own.
Can you give us any information that might help us?
For a price,
What's your price?
you carry with you marbles. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. We will have those. And in exchange, we shall tell you the weakness of the great Drake.
Seems
Well,
fair.
how
We
many
have
marbles
rations.
would you like?
How many marbles you got? Wait, no. No, don't answer that. Just give me a minute. Hold on. Could you... Breathe deeper, please.
What?
Yes. Yes, you. All of you. Deeper.
Reading our
Inhale.
minds through the
Inhale a little bit.
spores. No.
Oh,
We got mind
Give
reading
them the
spores.
marbles. We
Great.
have rations. It's fine.
I will give them my
The
marbles.
masks
Okay.
were useless.
Yes, they were. So you hand over the bag of marbles.
Yeah.
And the elder takes them in his slightly rotting away hand. And he takes them carefully and he looks down at them. And the elder does not speak this time, but the others do. This will do nicely. To your deaths you must go. But first you shall know. The greatest weakness of this drake is that it cannot fight for more than a minute's time, or it will become exhausted very heavily from a previous wound.
Oh, survived 10 rounds of fighting.
Thank you, oh great person, and we appreciate your help.
Yeah, sure, get out of my town.
All right.
We'll leave.
Oh,
Not
welcome
killing
in.
us.
Okay, let's.
Thanks for the
Let's move
marbles.
You're very welcome.
You just hear far off,
Yeah.
back in the direction that you came from. The furthest one just says "Dickwad."
Hey. Rude mushroom people. Lovely.
And only him.
Let's
He's the
go.
only one who says it. Every other one just doesn't say a goddamn thing.
So I guess that's the one who's stuck on watch duty far away from everyone else. Okay, well. To our death, then. I assume that's the only way towards the heart.
Yep.
All right, you continue along, and the Spore City goes on for miles as hour after hour passes, and you begin to find new types of spores. There are extremely long ones, extremely grotesque ones, pretty ones, fluorescent ones, rotting ones. It's a
Old
mixture.
ones.
Yeah. And a number of different spore-like creatures you find living around the area. And the longer you walk in here, the more you could swear you can hear the thoughts of each other. As now that you've been in here for a long enough period of time, you all have gained the telepathic link to one another that the spores grant you, at least for the time that you're in the spores.
Oh, lovely. Because I need to hear everyone else's
Lovely.
thoughts.
Yes. You are now able to hear one another's thoughts.
Oh, wait. What is Nash thinking?
Nash is currently thinking about a nice cooked seasoned deer.
Noted. He's a good boy. I'll get him that one way or another eventually.
All right. Fantastic. Well, as you get the images, the smells, even the slightest bit of taste of venison wafting through the imagery of your mind. It's 11:38. That is where we are going to call this session as the great battle begins next session. There is no
Finally.
avoiding the final battle.
You sure we can't pass out a trace past the dragon?
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh my god.
One way or another, I'm having you fight something, you motherfuckers. 2 sessions
Not
of
talk
avoiding
your way out
every
of it.
possible fight.
Every
Or sneak
possible
your way around it.
fight has been avoided up to this point. And I'm going to be super nice, and I'm going to give you your final level up before the Great Drake.
Oh,
Yay.
level
Alright.
9. Because I'm still working off the unearthed or actually no, because I remember the Tasha's Ranger doesn't have anything special. Where's my book?
Well, while
But-
Wade finds his book, we want to thank you all so much for coming out. We greatly appreciate each and every one of you, and we will see you guys at the Great Drake next time on the Black Waves. Adios!
Very well.
Bye.